On the 14th of April, President Reagan gave the okay for direct action against military barracks, airfields, and terrorist training camps at Tripoli and Benghazi. The U.S. 6th Fleet would be reinforced by Air Force F-111 strike aircraft flying from bases in the United Kingdom. At RAF Lakenheath, 24 F-111Fs of the 48th Tactical Fighter Wing rolled out of their shelters and began to take off at 1800 hours. They were supported by 4 EF-111 Raven electronic countermeasures aircraft from the 42nd Electronic Combat Squadron at Upper Heyford. Because both France and Spain refused to allow the aircraft to overfly their airspace, the flight path had to be routed over the sea. Meanwhile, the carrier groups also maneuvered into position for their own attacks. The F-111s used in the strike were all armed with the PAVE-TAC weapon system. This is a streamlined pod which rotates out from the aircraft's belly when in use. It contains sophisticated terrain-following radar, as well as infrared and laser target designators, which guide modern smart bombs accurately onto target. The bombs dropped on this mission were 2,000-pound Mark 84 Paveway laser-guided weapons and 500-pound Mark 82 Snake Eyes. In-flight refueling was accomplished in 4 stages on the outward journey and 2 on the return by KC-10 and KC-135 tankers from Fairford, Mildenhall, and NATO bases in Italy. Official Air Force targets in and around Tripoli were the Libyan Frogman HQ at Sidi Bilal, Gaddafi's command post headquarters in the Azizia barracks, and military transports at Tripoli Airport. The Navy was tasked with striking an alternative command post at the Jamahiria barracks in Benghazi and the air defense base at Benina. As the F-111s approached their targets, the PAVE-TAC pods were swung out in the terrain-following mode, and the laser designators switched on to warm up. These sample infrared line scan images show first the approach to the coast. Next is the low-level bombing run on the Azizia barracks. Gaddafi's circular white tent and even the tent poles are clearly visible. Members of his family were reportedly killed and wounded here. Finally, the F-111s approached Tripoli Military Airport. Here, 5 Ilyushin 76 transports on the ground are severely damaged by snake-eye retarded bombs. In the Libyan capital, the attack erupted. Libya possessed SA-3 and SA-5 surface-to-air missiles, and certainly fired many of her 23, 30, and 57mm anti-aircraft guns. Since the attack on Tripoli lasted only 11 minutes, and the defenses were not on alert, most of the fire loosed off by the defenders was certainly much too late, the gunners and rocket men actually firing wild. Despite the use of precision bombing methods, some weapons landed off target in a number of city areas. There were civilian casualties, perhaps as many as 300. Hospital wards began to fill up. The exasperated Libyan militias vented their anger. In the Tripoli suburb of Bin Ashur, close to the Libyan National Security Building, the French embassy was hit. The Swiss and Iranian embassies were also slightly damaged. It is probable that damage was also caused by Libyan SAMs, which had missed their targets, falling back to earth. For the attack on Benghazi, the Navy's carriers Coral Sea and America launched 24 A-6 intruders. 6 FA-18 Hornets were also dedicated to the attack. Main strike was provided by the intruders, mostly armed with 750-pound bombs. Harm anti-radiation missiles, which home on the radar emissions of enemy detection, and gun and missile guidance radars were also employed. And these certainly accounted for a complete missile battery south of Benghazi. The strike against Benina probably prevented the Libyans from scrambling their potent Mirage F-1 and MiG-25 Foxbat interceptors before the U.S. aircraft had departed Libyan airspace. In all, both raids actually lasted only 13 minutes. Shortly afterwards, one F-111 was reported downed, and a search and rescue mission was launched from the carriers. Unfortunately, the two-man crew were lost. Major Fernando Ribas Dominici and Captain Paul Lawrence were subsequently awarded posthumous air medals. The remainder of the strike force returned safely to their bases, although one F-111 had to divert to Rota in Spain because of an overheating problem. The first F-111 touched down back at Lakenheath at 0630 hours the following morning. Mission accomplished. Later reconnaissance by high-flying SR-71 Blackbirds from Mildenhall confirmed the accuracy of the strike, performed at night after a grueling 6-hour flight.